Good afternoon, everyone. I have an exhortation. I don't know whether we'll publish it or not, but it's a combination of a testimony and a commentary on what's going on in this nation today. I know what's going on all over the world, but America today is the poster child. I thank God for the election of Donald J. Trump. I believe it is the first sign appearing in the natural world that the Lord has forgiven us on behalf of, I believe, the remnant that is serving him with all of their strength. The whole nation and the whole world is forgiven, that is a standard scripture. There's been an intercession by a group of people that the Lord has, whose prayers and whose activities the Lord has received. And he has taken the first step towards turning things around. It's going to be a terrible war, brethren. The enemy is vicious. It's way beyond Democrat or Republican or progressive or conservative. It's way beyond that. It's Luciferian against Christ. It's Lucifer against Christ. It's a question of who rules the world. And I want to challenge all of the brethren in LMCCK today and ask you if you really, really are facing up to the evil that is taking place in this world today. It's taking place on every level in this country, and the people on the Luciferian side are so evil that sometimes it's almost unbearable for me, and I know that I have work to do as to not let it get to me when I hear what people are doing now. Many people are just pawns, okay, that they're being manipulated, and the passions and the sins of human beings are being manipulated by the evil ones, but they're just as evil, okay? The consequence is the same. Okay, so the latest event that has stirred me to give, well, there are two points that have stirred me to give this testimony, is what happened in New York City last week when our President-elect Trump went to see a Broadway show with his wife, went to see Hamilton. Now, I had heard that Broadway show, when they casted, when they auditioned, when they advertised that there would be auditions for the cast, that they openly said no whites allowed. But then the racism in this country is phenomenal, and the most bizarre part of the whole thing is that the people who are the racists are accusing the other people of being racist. Everything's backwards, upside down, and confused. And God's people are not supposed to be confused. But we're in the mode of reverse racism. It is now being allowed on several campuses. Segregation is now being allowed, and it's the black people initiating the segregation. So the war is taking place on many levels, but the bottom line is this, that the powers that be want to destroy our democratic republic, our constitutional republic. That is the bottom line of what's going on. I thank God for our Constitution. If it wasn't for our Constitution, we would have been overtaken by fascism a long time ago. But the anchor seems to be holding. And as long as there are people fighting, the Lord is honoring our efforts. So Donald Trump, for those of you who could not see past his initial unfortunate misbehavior, and that misbehavior, calling names and things like that, it was a flaming sword. He's not doing it anymore. He took the victory over his own inclination. It was a flaming sword for those who couldn't get past it, especially Christians that couldn't get past it, that were condemning him on a pharisaical basis. Everybody's being judged on what's going on in this country today. Every man will reap what he sows. Everyone, and beyond the country, everyone's going to reap what they sow on a personal level in this warfare, which is actually the end of the age. And of course we know Jesus is going to win, but the battle has been terrible and is going to be terrible. Okay. So our Vice President-elect walked into the theater, and people in the theater booed him. The people at the play, people that paid probably, these are not poor people, a couple of hundreds of dollars for a ticket, $250, $300 for a ticket, booed our Vice President-elect. And this is liberal New York City. It's disgusting. This would have never happened if Hillary had won. Never. The evil people. Now, I don't want to put people in a box, but by and large, you draw generalities. There is something to that. The evil people, are on the other side, whether they know what they're doing or they don't know what they're doing. So, brethren, I would like to encourage you to understand how evil rebellion is. I've told you recently, of recent years, I never understood how evil lying was. I now understand how evil lying is. I now understand how evil rebellion is. I never realized how really serious it was. It is a very evil thing to disrespect the other side that happens to have won this election and riot in the streets. And now there are people trying to convince the electors to not elect Donald Trump. We have an electoral college in this country, and the electoral college is a bulwark for democracy, because if we had a popular vote only, the big cities would rule the whole country. So I don't want to take the time to go into our electoral college, but it was established by the fathers of this nation to make sure that the people in the less populated states had a say in our government. So the powers are trying to overthrow the electoral college. The way it works is that it's the way it's supposed to work, is that the states have their elections, and depending on the majority of voters who wins the popular vote within the state, the whole state elects for that candidate. That's the way it's supposed to be. And although President-elect Trump has been elected, in theory he has not been elected yet, because the actual electors of the Electoral College have to vote on December 19th. Now they're supposed to be committed to vote as the states went, but everything's crazy today. I mean, I don't think there's any chance of overturning it, but I'm telling you that there are crazy people in this country that are going to the electors to try to convince them not to vote the way their state voted, the state that they represent. And there are people that have hacked computers and sent out the names and addresses of the electors, which are now some of them receiving death threats. So this is very serious. It's nothing to be poo-pooed. The forces that are trying to overthrow our constitutional republic are very powerful, but so far we're holding. But those of us whose eyes are opened, okay, we need to understand the depth of the evil that is operating in this country and across the world. It is the end of the age, okay? This is the last battle between the Lord Jesus Christ and the evil powers that have been possessing humanity since the fall. And it's not a battle that's over in a few days. And each man is experiencing the battle for himself. Each human being is a microcosm of the macrocosm that's going on. So to be ignorant is to be guilty. To be ignorant is to be guilty. And you cannot be fully not guilty, you can't be fully innocent if you don't understand the depth of the evil of what is going on in this country today. Barack Obama just signed an executive order making it he hasn't mandated it yet. The way I read it, it hasn't been mandated. Making it very easy for the Health and Human Resources, if that's the right name of the agency, to come in and force inoculations on adults. And with those inoculations, the chip by which they can track you to make sure that you have the inoculation. So he signed the executive order setting it up. The most important thing of that executive order is not that it's not mandating inoculations for adults, but it's setting the framework. What it does set up is a system of immunization officers. See, they're getting ready for plagues. Okay, is your mind liberated enough to understand that the evil has all of the holes of power, including medicine? Are you liberated enough to understand that there are people that have the power to send plagues upon the world and upon this? Right now I'm talking about this nation. Are you liberated enough to understand that there is people in positions of power in this nation, okay, and that not only, but it's emanating from here probably, from Europe, that are sending plagues across the world But in this nation, they already set the structure for immunization chairmen. I forget the word that they used. What do you think the FEMA camps are for? First of all, they want to depopulate. They're all into the UN. Brethren, if you just do the research, it's there. The UN is into depopulation. They tell you there's not enough room on this planet for all of us, but that's not true. There are too many people for them to control right now. That's what the truth is. There are too many people for these powers which operate in people to control right now. They want depopulation, especially in this country, especially Christians, especially gun-toting Christians. And on any excuse, they can be rounding up people and forcing them into immunization centers where they put you in jail because they can say that you have been exposed to a disease. That's what Obama just signed, an executive order that he just signed, setting the structure for that. So, so not only did the audience, okay, which again are not poor people, okay, boo our vice president-elect when he walked into the theater on a social situation. How absolutely outrageous. See, this largely comes from a lack of our education system to educate our citizens and new citizens. Okay, if you wanted to be a citizen of this country, you used to have to go to school. You had to learn our history, you had to learn how the government works, and you had to swear allegiance to America. You don't have to do any of that anymore. So apparently, people don't understand how our legal system works anymore. Many do not understand how it works. We have a constitutional republic. We vote. And you don't boo the losers. It's never happened in the history of America. You don't hate the losers. You don't try to overturn the election. That's not our lifestyle here. But we have people psyching up and inciting ignorant people to do this. And I'm sorry, brethren, but large numbers of the ignorant people are people who were not born here, that do not understand how our nation works. See? So this cast of the play Hamilton, they actually cast it for non-whites only. And they lectured Vice President-elect Trump. They read him a lecture at the end of the play where he was a captive audience. They gave him no chance to respond, but they humiliated him in front of the whole. I don't believe he accepted the humiliation, but that was what they did in front of the whole audience. And what they had to say, in my opinion, was ridiculous. Vice President-elect Pence, we are very frightened of this election. We're frightened that we're in danger. We're frightened that you're going to take our inalienable rights away from us. It's completely backwards. This administration is restoring inalienable rights.
Amen.
And it was so offensive, Vice President-elect Trump demanded an apology, and the leader, the guy who read the statement, stood right up to him and said, "We will not apologize, but we had every right to do what we did." No respect, rebellion. Rebellion. And it wouldn't surprise me, I don't know for sure, but I bet you he's an illegal alien. See? Or he knows many illegal aliens. What kind of a play is this where you cast no whites allowed? That you can't audition, that the best man should be hired? There's an evil in this country, brethren, and it has come from the left. But they'll tell you it's on the right. But it's come from the left. They stigmatize people. If you disagree with them, you're immediately a racist. It's very evil. I've been listening on YouTube to this man, Gary Franchi. I have to get his name right. I really enjoy his clips because he does videos, which I prefer videos to reading. You know. And he gives you like 3 to 5 minute clips of the latest news, and there's no, it's strictly news. 3 to 5 minutes, he tells you the headline, he tells you what's going on, he gives you a brief commentary. Alex Jones does a good job, but he just goes on and on and on. I can't take all that time. Gary Franchi, I'm sorry, I have to get his name right. And he says several times, I heard him say, "I can't take it. can't take it. He said, he said, you just voice an opinion that's different than theirs, and you're a racist. He said, I can't, these people are crazy, I can't take it anymore. Well, we have to take it. We have to look it in the face. I have the same reaction. They exhaust your mind with this is the mind of the beast. Some of them believe it and some of them don't. But it doesn't matter because the effect is the same. Whether they believe it or whether they've been seduced doesn't matter. The effect is the same. Is it evil in this country? And it's associated with rebellion. Brethren, it's very important that we have no rebellion in our lives. What you do as an individual, what you think as an individual, counts. It's a part of the whole. Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. I never understood it like I understand it today. When you're in rebellion, it sends forth the spirit of witchcraft that tries to change illegally what God would not change. It's very important that you submit where it is godly for you to submit. If you have a complaint, you register your complaint in a godly manner. You pray about it in a godly manner. You go to the proper authorities and register your complaint. I don't know how to warn you anymore. Reject rebellion with all of your strength. Beware of rebellion and pride because what you do counts. So I now have a testimony that will relate to what I just told you. Because this evil is going on in every level. It's going on, well, let me say something positive for President-elect Trump. I'm telling you, this man is for real. Okay, I've known it for a long time. He's for real. Maybe he's rough around the edges, and I don't agree with what he did at the beginning, okay? But the man's for real. His heart is for real. Okay? So I just found out yesterday that he has instructed Vice President-elect Pence, who is heading up his transition team, to fire everybody that's coming into his administration that is a lobbyist. He will not have lobbyists. And if you want a position in his administration, you have to sign a waiver, okay, that you will not lobby for 5 years after you leave office. In other words, he doesn't want anybody in his administration that is taking the job because he believes 4 years from now, when he is no longer in the job, he can make millions of dollars as a lobbyist because of the position that he held. He's firing them all. And I'm told that's why he fired Christie. That's what I'm told. Christie was taken down as whatever his position was. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Whatever his position was in the transition team, he was fired. I hear Trump is meeting with him today. I don't know whether there's another place for him or not. That's what I heard, that he was taking on lobbyists. Trump is for real. He's going to drain this swamp. And he's going to move as fast as he can. But do you realize we are corrupt? Brethren, the degree of the corruption is phenomenal. I was just listening. You know, when I eat, I can't read when I eat, so I turn on the YouTube, and I just came across a video. I don't even know why I chose that video. It just surprised me. Normally I wouldn't even choose this video, such a video, but it was 4 people being interviewed about the pedophilia in the government. The pedophilia in our government, brethren. Not only are we running guns, we're running child trafficking rings right out of our embassies. I don't think even I have a real concept of the depth of the corruption in this nation. And to be honest with you, I don't understand fully how God's going to deal with it. I know it's going to be dealt with it, and we're going to be purged. Okay, is that purging going to come from a, I don't even know what agency it would be, from a new CIA, from a new FBI, that are like they used to be, Are we going to purge them by firing them and charging them? Or is something terrible going to happen? Are they going to all die? I don't know. I know God, He prefers the natural order if we can do it. So the conversation in this video, anyway, was about going back into the 80s or the 90s, where the FBI was doing I guess research isn't the right word, they were doing an investigation on this pedophilia throughout the government, okay? And from what I've read and from other things that I've read, they have these sex slaves right in the White House. They came right into the White House. Brethren, do you have any idea how bad it is? I don't think you do. So the FBI was doing this investigation, and the woman who wrote, she was up there because she wrote a book, and she was saying at that time, it was either the 80s or the 90s, these FBI agents were serious agents, and they were really gung-ho. They thought that all of the information they were gathering and the proof that they were gathering was going to be used to put these government officials away in jail for a long time, until it became evident that that's not what was going to be done with the information. That wasn't the purpose of their investigation. And all of that information was put in a place where it's being used for blackmail. And however they manipulated it, I can't repeat what she was saying, but it got out of the basket of information that would be used for prosecution, and now it's being used for blackmail. So we have pedophilia rings throughout the world coming out of the American embassies, brethren, which shouldn't surprise us because there's dope being run out of the American embassies and guns being run out of the American embassies. It's very bad, very deep, and very serious. We'll see what the Trump administration can do. I believe that Donald J. Trump, President Trump, is going to do the best he can. I think he's very serious about draining the swamp. And with God helping him and other patriots being raised up, we'll see what will happen. So that's the situation in the country, utterly corrupt. And we have people trying to overthrow the Donald Trump election on the basis of him not being qualified, and put Hillary, who was right at the helm of the child trafficking ring, aside from everything else, and she's qualified. It's so irrational that it hurts your mind. It's so irrational that you know, the person, I mean, I'm defensed in this. God's been preparing me this for years. People can't believe it. They just can't believe it. They can't function. So we'll be saved by a remnant. The country's, not only the country, all of humanity is being saved, will be saved by a remnant. See? So now this was my experience, which the Lord tells me is me experiencing what I just explained to you on the microcosm. Okay? I just had an experience with my doctor that is absolutely shocking. I want to tell you that I've been in a spiritual war with my doctor. That I haven't been in a spiritual war like this in years. I don't even know if it was ever this bad. Is she a practicing witch? I don't know what she is. She looks like a doctor. She walks like a doctor. She talks like a doctor. And she's absolutely knocked me on my tail spiritually for several days. And it may still be going on. I'm not sure. I'm under a lot of pressure. Is she a practicing witch? I don't know. Is she just a person who is mad at me because I've interfered with her income? Because this lobbying, you see, this lobbying that Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump, has made illegal, it exists in the medical field. The pharmaceutical companies lobby the doctors to push their medications. So you say, well, if there were 3 different medications that serve the same purpose, what's so wrong with the doctor taking a little kickback and recommending the medication that they're all the same, you know, and taking and recommending the medication that they're getting money for? The problem with that, brethren, is that it's tantamount to a bribe, and that mankind, human people, doctors, which are human people, are human. Doctors are human. That means the lust for money and the greed for money is at the root of all evil. And maybe today they're saying, well, I'll recommend drug A because it's the same as B and C and it makes no difference. That's what they're saying today. And then a patient comes into their office, which really would benefit from drug B, but the doctor's not getting any money from drug B, and she's still pushing drug A, you see. So it's a bribe. It's a temptation. Lobbying tempts you to do what's wrong, and it's a great evil. Donald J. Trump has just made it illegal in his transition team, and he will make it illegal in his government, and he's putting legislation, he will put legislation before our Congress to make it illegal throughout the government. And today, I'm not going to take any action in the natural, but I rebuke it in the medical community. I absolutely rebuke it. And what's really interesting is I had 2 experiences with this doctor. I'll recount both of them for you. And I really wasn't aware that this lobbying in the medical, by the pharmaceutical companies was going on. So the first problem that I had, one person said to me, well, maybe she was trying to force me to take a test I didn't want to take. She tried to force me, she used her authority, I didn't want to take it. She tried to scare me, I didn't want to take it. And someone said to me, well, maybe she's getting a kickback on it. And I said, what? And they said, yes, I know someone that's made lots of money, like $1 million doing that. That was my first appointment. This is a new doctor. It was my first appointment with her. My second appointment with her, I tangled with her again. And I'm saying, what is going on? Okay, unfortunately, I have accepted that I have to take blood pressure medication until such time as the Lord either heals me or shows me a holistic medication that will help, because the holistic treatment I was taking stopped working for me. And it's really very interesting how the Lord has been protecting me in all this, because while I was being very stubborn, I went through a period of time where I was being very stubborn. I didn't want to take this medication because all medications have side effects. And then they'll tell you, well, the holistic medications have side effects too. Sometimes they do, but I think by and large the pharmaceutical medications are more toxic than any holistic medication you could find. So I was resisting, and I resisted too long, but I was resisting. So I wound up in the emergency room a couple of times. And not the last time, but the second to last time that I wound up in the emergency room, there was a very young doctor. I don't know that he was that young, but I'm saying he was just so fresh, and I liked the spirit on him. And he was all excited telling me about this high blood pressure medication. I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly. He was all excited about it, telling me, you know, how good it was, and that it also helps your kidneys, and the only side effect is a dry cough, and everybody doesn't get it. And he recommended that, but he said if you get the dry cough and you don't like it, your doctor will give you something else, which is the way it's supposed to be. Doctors are not supposed to be pressuring you to take one medication or the other. So I had it in my head, I think it's Linus, I can't pronounce it. I had it in my head that was what I wanted. But this doctor wanted me to take a medication called amlodipine. And the side effect of the amlodipine is that your legs swell. Now, brethren, my legs have been swelling for years. I just found out recently that the reason my legs have a tendency to swell, if I stay off of the salt, I'm okay. But my legs definitely have a tendency to swell. Okay? Even if I stay off of the salt, if I'm on my feet all day, they're puffing. Okay? That's the result of abdominal surgery, which I had in 1990, which I didn't even know that that's like a natural outgrowth of abdominal surgery. So, brethren, I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to know that if there's 2 medications, that one gives you, the side effect is a dry cough, and the other medication has a side effect that makes your ankles swell, that you don't give someone with my history the medication that makes your ankles swell. Now, do you need a PhD to figure that out? Do you need a PhD to figure that out? No. Do you need a PhD to figure that out? No. So this doctor is intent on me taking the medication that makes my legs swell. So she's a new doctor. My doctor retired. I don't want any trouble with her. So, I mean, you don't go into a doctor's office ready for war. You don't do that. You go into a doctor's office basically ready to submit without laying your life down completely. So I went along with it, and my legs swelled. So she wants me to start wearing stockings, special stockings that are going to hold the swelling in. And I'm going, I'm still not resisting, because I the Lord showed me years ago, don't rebel. Don't rebel. But it comes a point where it's not rebellion, but it's a righteous indignation, you see. So I saw her, and she wants to give me diuretics. Now, diuretics, brother, if you need them, you take them, but they're not good for your kidneys. Why should I be taking diuretics when there's another medication that won't make my legs swell? So I went along with it a couple of times, and I found that I only saw her twice. Both times that I saw her, I came under a spiritual attack. The first time, I stood up to her. I didn't want to take that test, Brethren, you could do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't take the preventative tests. If you go to a doctor in America, or in New York anyway, they have a whole slew of tests that they want to give you just to make sure you don't have something that they can find something wrong with you. If you want to do that and you believe in it, please, I'm not against it, but I'm not for it for myself. Okay? I have enough problems with my body. I don't like being obsessed with my body. And I trust God. I trust God to this degree that if I need a doctor, he'll send me. So I didn't want to take the test. So she was really pressuring me to do it. And when I said no, she tried to scare me and tell me, well, you can have a polyp, you can have cancer. It could turn to cancer. That's what she said to me. And that was when I said to somebody after that, what's wrong with this doctor? And they said to me, well, she's probably getting a kickback on the test. So I went home that day and came under this incredible spiritual attack. It was so severe, I had to call for prayer, and I couldn't overcome it by myself. Then I had a second visit because she has to follow up on this blood pressure medication. And she wanted me to put these stockings on my legs, and I just went home, And then 2 days later, I came under an attack. There had been something else that happened in the office that I told her no. I dared to tell her no. And this time it was a delayed reaction. I was studying. It was Wednesday night when I was studying for the Thursday meeting. It came in, because I get very spiritual when I study. It came in Thursday night. What a war. What a war. It attacked me the whole time that I was preaching. And without going into any more ado, I said, that's it. My first reaction was, I don't want another doctor. I'm just going to have to see her twice a year. This doctor has got to go. There's something really wrong with this woman, okay? Aside from the fact that she's insisting on treating me like I'm a child, without going into the details, I don't appreciate being treated like I'm a child. And she keeps telling me that I'm a vegetarian. I am not a vegetarian. Mm-hmm. I eat fish, when I'm on my diet, I eat fish every day. That's not a vegetarian. She keeps telling me I'm a vegetarian. I don't know what her problem is. I'm actually questioning. At first I thought, well, she's a good doctor. She's just making money off of her patients. Now I don't even know if she's a good doctor anymore. I don't know what her problem is. Except that she's got the most incredible spirit of control on her that punishes you if you don't submit to it. Does she know that she's doing it? Probably not. My guess is probably not. Do I think she's a practicing witch? No. I think she's just a very controlling person, and that she's very mad at me that I'm standing up to her. Which you don't expect from your doctor. So I called her, and I left a message, because he came to reach her directly, that I have decided that I want off of this high blood pressure medication. I want the other medication. So she has her nurse call me back and say, well, you were just here 2 days ago, what happened? And I said, I decided to insist. I don't want the swollen legs. Actually, I think it took me too long to reach that decision. I should have told her right away, but I didn't, because I'm so against rebellion that sometimes, more than often, I go along until I realize something's not right here, and then I stand up. It takes me too long these days. I used to jump too quickly, now I'm too slow. So maybe someday I'll find the middle ground. So a nurse calls me back and says, what's wrong? I said, well, I decided to insist. I want the other medication. So she says, well, the doctor will call you. She calls me 5 minutes later. She tried in every way to talk me out of it. She tried to put me on the defensive. She wanted me to explain to her why I changed my mind. And I was just incensed at that point. At that point, I wasn't, the indignation was bypassing my immediate conscious mind. And I wound up just saying to her, I don't want those swollen legs. She wanted to me explain what happened, why I don't want those swollen legs. So she backed down, that backed her down. And then she started telling me, well, I'm going to have to double your dosage. I'm going to have to, if you take the other medication, you'll have to take more. I said, why? She gave me some incorrect reason without wasting your time. I said, well, that's not true. Just like she's telling me I'm a vegetarian, she said something that wasn't true. So I said, look, give me the 10. If I need more, I'll take more. So she agreed to that. You see, she can only go so far. She is a doctor, you know. And all of my doctors, I don't go to private doctors. All of my doctors, I've made a choice to go to. There's a, I guess they call it, I don't know if they call it a clinic or not, but the doctors that teach in the hospital where God saved my life, they also see private patients. But they're not private doctors, they're employees of the hospital, and they use the hospital facilities, etc., etc. So I felt the Lord was telling me to do that a long time ago. So all of my doctors, the doctors are employees of the hospital. It's not a free clinic. I don't really think it's a free clinic, but it's the doctors of the hospital that have private patients. Okay, I guess that's the way to say it. So, what was I telling them? So anyway, that was what I told her. She gave me no medical reason why she was really pressuring me to stay with this medication, even though my legs were swelling. Okay. She gave me no medical reason at all. Oh yeah. So she wanted to double the dosage. So what do you want to double the dosage for? I said, give me the 10, and if I need it, I'll take the 20. So she had to agree to that. She can't go too far, she'll be in trouble. See? So, and then the reason she gave me was not accurate. She told me something about my own body and my own health that was simply not accurate. See? And then she said to me, well, you have to really watch yourself. You have to watch that potassium, because when you take that medication, you have to watch your potassium. Well, that's the same thing she told me with the medication that swells my legs. You have to watch the potassium. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Maybe both of them you have to watch your potassium. But why is she talking to me like she didn't tell me I have to watch my potassium with the other one? The woman, I censure her in front of this whole ministry. I censure her in Jesus' name. And I don't know what the correct, I don't know if she should lose her license for that or not. And what's really funny is that when I picked her, when my doctor retired, and I picked her, the way I picked her was that I went on the internet where you can get a list of all the doctors in that department. And I picked her based upon her, upon what I looked to be the best doctor in the group. Well, our doctors have groups in this country, at least here in New York. And I think if I read it, it didn't register in me. It said geriatric. You see, well, you know, there used to be general practitioners in this country. There are no more general practitioners. You go to an internist. So the name of the group that I go to is the internist and geriatric group. Okay, so I thought all the doctors do the same thing. It's the same group. So even if I saw that geriatrics is the care of old people, I don't know what age starts old in their estimation, but that's what it means, the care of elderly people. So I have a vague recollection that I saw geriatrics there, but it didn't mean anything to me. So she told me that I'm her youngest patient, and that all of her patients are in their 80s and 90s. So she's doing this to me. What is she doing to her patients in their 80s and 90s that probably can't stand up to her? What is she doing to them? And how did I pick this doctor? Brethren, if you serve God, if you're in this ministry, most likely you're in this category, you know, every decision and every choice you make is to God's glory. It has a secondary meaning to it, has a secondary purpose in it. So now the Lord has seen what she's doing. She must be taking advantage of all of her elderly patients. I don't know what the Lord will do with her, but I censure her. I expose her and I censure her in Jesus' name. And then there are two other people in the ministry that are having struggles with their doctors. And I had gone before the Lord and said, Lord, what's going on here? What is going on here? And he said, what is being experienced in Washington? You are experiencing it. You are the microcosm. They are the macrocosm. It's the corruption is in every level of authority. Every level of authority in this nation. Every level of authority. Now, I want to tell you something, brethren. Are you aware that in countries, in fascist countries, that they use doctors to punish political dissidents? Are you aware that political dissidents in Russia wound up in mental institutions? Are you aware of that? I'm very aware of it. My face is all over the internet. I'm very aware of it. And I want to tell you that I don't doubt for a second that if this doctor had the power to do it, she would punish me using the authority that she has. I don't doubt it for a second. But she doesn't have that authority. They haven't won yet. It almost doesn't count, see? And now it's turning around. I don't doubt it for a second. Doctors write things on your files. I saw interviews of veterans, brethren, interviews of veterans saying that if they don't like what the doctors recommend, or, oh, I know what it is. They're putting, the Veterans Administration, they're putting all of our vets on psychic drugs. Drugs, psychic drugs, I mean the wrong word. Psychotropic, is that the right word? So I saw one of them interviewed, he said most of us, we walk out and we throw them away because we can't tell the doctors that we don't want them. Because if you won't take the drugs, they put it on your chart, that you're unbalanced. Am I telling you that individual doctors are bad? I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you the system is evil. And when you have an evil system, you will find doctors that will manifest and go along with the evil system. I don't know that there's anything that she could write on my chart at this point in my position. I'm not a veteran. I don't know. But I want to get away from this woman because she's dangerous. And I'm standing before God right now, asking Him to release any patient of hers that is in danger, any patient of hers that she's abusing. And if the Lord wants to do it, to remove her license. I don't know that that's the correct judgment, so I don't know what the correct judgment is. I'm just exposing her right now. And as if that wasn't enough, brethren, I had a very intense study day yesterday. When I do these translations, it is so intense that sometimes I take a break and watch television because it's like I feel like it's frying my brain. So that's what I was doing yesterday. I was working for a couple of hours and I'm watching some TV and I was looking for something harmless, And I said, there's a new series on Netflix. It's called Paranoid. Oh, well, that sounds interesting. It's a British cops and robbers TV show. That sounds nice. Paranoid. What do you think it's about? It's about the international phenomenon of pharmaceutical companies lobbying doctors to give medication to patients that normally they wouldn't recommend the medication. Do you see the temptation? It's likened to a bribe. Well, that patient, he could have benefited from the medication. But if you were not getting money for it, would you really have given them the medication? If you were not getting kickbacks, would you be as inclined to dispense medication? Do you know how many people in this country are on medication? That from the little kids, they're putting them on medication. You go to see a doctor. Actually, we had the air conditioner technician come in here last summer. And the thought never occurred to me that the doctor was getting a kickback. This man said to me, I've known him for a couple of years, or a year or two, and he said he was going through a really hard time. Both of his elderly parents were ill. He was trying to work a full-time job, does physical work, and running to take care of his parents, and he was really just freaked out. That's what he was telling me. He was really distressed. He went to the doctor, and the doctor wanted to put him on pills. He said, I'm not going to take pills. I haven't taken an aspirin my whole life. Why am I going to go on Prozac for it? Well, I'm sorry, but I have to ask the question. Why would a doctor be putting a grown man on Prozac? Because he was having a limited time in his life where he was having a hard time. Is that your solution? I don't know whether he went to the doctor for that reason or he went to the doctor for something else and just told him that. I don't know. Why are you putting the man on medication? What's going on in this country? What's going on? See? Something very evil is going on. Mind-altering medication. And that's what the whole series was about, that I just happened, incidentally, to begin. It was a brand new edition. It wasn't there last week. So at this point, there's no doubt in my mind about what she's doing, and my consciousness has been raised as to what's going on in this country on a deeper level. Pills are being pushed like there are no side effects, like it's nothing. Just fry your brain. Maybe more than half of the country is on medication. So, this is more than a testimony. I don't know whether I'll publish it or not, but I'm definitely censuring that doctor. And I'm speaking out against any doctor that is using her authority to recommend pills or medication when, if she wasn't getting money for it, she probably wouldn't do it. And then you know what happens? It becomes a delusion in your mind. It becomes just, well, the thing that you do. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's doing it. All the doctors are doing that. See? And these doctors become a part of the problem. So everybody has to be careful to not be seduced today, especially if you're in a position of power. You have to be very careful to not be seduced to hurt other people. If you are a doctor, you need to stand against the pharmaceutical companies. If you're a doctor in well, my doctors are all in the hospital, and they I don't want to go to that. You have to stand against the gargantuan beast if there are things they don't want you to, that you would rather not do. Everybody has to stand against the system in some way as it affects you. We need to have our consciousness enlightened and heightened as to subtleties that are really immoral. Immoral subtleties, not obvious subtleties, but subtle immoralities that might just push you in the direction of taking advantage of somebody. Well, they wouldn't know the difference. That person wouldn't know the difference. Or maybe they would know the difference. Do you know that there's a new phenomenon in this country? Okay. Large numbers of children lose the power to walk. Their legs just turn like jelly. I read this recently. Nobody knows what's causing it. Young children all over the country. Their arms and their legs just turn to jelly. I suspect it's something in the inoculations. Do you know how many inoculations they're giving children under 15 months? Do you understand that they're making money off of us? And probably experimenting on us? Do you understand that what at one time was good has become evil? And everybody is responsible for you're responsible for yourself and for everyone that you have authority over. You need to know the name of every medication that you're taking, what it does. I'm very sorry, but I will never trust a doctor again. I am responsible for my own life. If you want to put me on medication, I will go online and research the medication. I want to know what the side effects are and what the potentials are, and I want to pray about everything that I'm putting into my body. And that is legitimate. And a doctor that will not tolerate that is not the doctor for me. Nothing personal against the doctor. I just know that they're a human being. And that they make mistakes, and that they're subject to coercion by the pharmaceutical companies. They're just human. And this is a day of evil. The Lord told me this years ago. You cannot trust lawyers or accountants. You have to be in control. You are there. You are retain them. Doctors, lawyers, you retain them. You cannot turn your life over to someone because they're a professional. You have to be in control. Your relationship with God and your own intelligence. Now, in most instances, you will take the advice of a professional, a doctor or a lawyer, if the Lord approves it. But don't just lay down and do whatever they tell you, because it's an evil day. It's an evil day in the government. It's an evil day in every area that exercises power over people in this nation and in the world. And it's an evil day for everyone that exercises a power over you. And beware of gifts. Don't take a gift unless you're sure the motive is godly. Beware of gifts and strings attached to the gifts. Well, I don't like living like that, Sheila. Well, you can live like that or not live like that. Beware of gifts. Now, it doesn't have to be money. Beware of anything that anybody offers you. Are they offering you something that's going to cause you to give up your own responsibility for your life in that particular area? Are they offering you a gift that's going to make you dependent in any way? Rather, be in control of your own life, because it's an evil day. It's an evil day. And don't think that they're not putting veterans in mental institutions, because they are. So wherever the government has power to control, if you're on welfare, you're under their control. So that's my exhortation for today. Although there is a silver lining. Okay, Donald J. Trump is president-elect, and I believe the man is for real. So they say everyone that runs for president or for any office, you can't implement your entire agenda because we have different factions in our government. So that's true, but I believe he's going to do everything that he possibly can. He has promised to cancel every illegal executive order that President Obama signed in his first 100 days. He said he's going to do that. And he's locking the lobbyists out of his cabinet. I think he's a very serious man. And whoever he picks for Secretary of State is going to have some job, because I just found out last night that just about every embassy is corrupt. There's some corruption in every embassy. Drugs, trafficking. And it's all through the government. Sexual corruption all through the government. Sex slaves coming into the White House, the Pentagon. It's just horrible. Prostitutes are bad enough. Sex slaves, people being held against their will. Going all the way back. The same was happening during the Reagan administration. Now, they didn't say it was Reagan. It was happening even during the Reagan administration. Personally, I think that these evil forces gave him Alzheimer's. That's my personal opinion. So, on the positive note, I'll just end it with a positive note. As I said, the Lord has given us President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Pence. I don't really know Vice President-elect Pence, but he claims to be a strong Christian. I want to give him every benefit of the doubt to show me that he is what he says he is. And as some of you may know, Ford has already backed down. The Kentucky plant they were moving to Mexico will not be moving. And another function, I don't know whether it was a whole plant or something, I don't like to say the wrong thing, something that they were doing in Mexico. They've stopped and transferred that procedure. back to Ohio, 1,000 people were just rehired in Ohio. And he's not even president yet. So I think the man is the real deal. He's a man, you know. He's not perfect. But I think he really loves this country, and I think he is very aware. I don't know if he's as aware as we are about the New World Order, you know. I don't know if he knows that they're Luciferian. I don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes for him. But he knows, what he knows is this, that the issue of the day is globalism versus nationalism. And he is a nationalist, and he is against globalism. And that's good enough for now. That's good enough for the job that he has to do. How dare these people say he's not qualified? Hillary's qualified. He's not qualified. They're just terrible liars. So we have to be very careful that we don't lie. Don't lie in your everyday life. Don't lie. Because you now have a spiritual connection to Hillary Clinton and her whole disgusting team. Don't lie. Don't rebel. Don't lie. Do everything. Ask God to help you to be an honorable person. It's much better to be an honorable person than to apologize. But if you need to apologize, you should do that. It's better to not do anything wrong. Be an honorable person. Be independent. Don't take gifts unless you really think that God is saying it's okay. Be independent. Be independent. Always be independent. Make sure you know who you're taking your gifts from if you take them. I'm not saying you should take a gift from your father. Please don't misquote me. You should know who's giving you a gift. You should know who's pursuing you. Someone's initiating a relationship with you. You should wonder who they are. You should be asking the Lord who they are. And what does this mean? And what's the person's motive? Do they just like me? Well, maybe they just like you, or maybe they have another motive. Brethren, there's evil in the hearts of man that many men don't even know that is there themselves. You have to take care of yourself and whoever you have authority over. Okay? So I didn't mean to go on this long. I really have a message for today. I don't think I'm going to publish this. No. I don't think I'm going to publish this. But I want to end it on a positive note. The Lord has given us a champion. And patriots are showing up. Brethren, anyone that will be in the Trump administration, I take to be a patriot. He's given up his opportunity to lobby for 5 years from the time he leaves office. That's like 10 years or 9 years. He has to be doing it for some altruistic reason. So I just heard last night that why Ben Carson turned down the job in Trump's cabinet. Because Dr. Carson says that he wants to lobby concerning Obamacare. He wants to get rid of Obamacare. He wants to be actively, politically involved in getting rid of Obamacare. And he could not do that while he worked for the Trump administration. So he refused the office as a member of the president's cabinet. So what's happening is that Mr. Trump he's setting the stage. Wherever patriots are in a position to serve the government, they're going to be stepping forward. There's a big war coming. All of these sanctuary city mayors that refuse to turn over illegal immigrants and protect illegal immigrants. Why are they doing that? Because the illegal immigrants put them in power. Or at least the people that could vote, the legal immigrants voted to protect the illegal immigrants. So there's a big war coming. Donald Trump has said he'll withhold federal funds. So do you know what's coming? What's coming is the same thing that happened when the Republican members of the House wouldn't pass the budget that was no good for the country, that the Senate presents the budget. And the House says, well, we're going to pay for it or not. So it's the House's job to say, you need to trim that budget. But the Senate wouldn't trim the budget. The Senate was Democrat. They wouldn't trim the budget. And they threatened the members of the House, you better pass our budget, or we're going to tell the whole country that you're shutting down the government and people are going to starve. And the Republicans have been buckling for years, which, well, of course, that's a lie. Because what shuts down is non-essential services. People on welfare still get their checks. So Donald Trump, when he pulls federal funding on these sanctuary cities, that's what you're going to be hearing. It means no Medicare funds, no food stamp funds, whatever else, no funds. It's going to be a game of chicken. And up until now, the Republicans have always yelled chicken. Trump's not yelling chicken. He's not yelling chicken. And the problem is that the populace is all screwed up in the head. They have the mind of the beast. These mayors are breaking federal law. Who, if you are a citizen of this city, and you're not getting some funds that you're entitled to, because of this power play between the president and the mayor, who are you supposed to be mad at? The mayor who's breaking federal law, or the president who's saying you can't break federal law? Who are you supposed to be mad at? Well, anyone in their right mind is mad at the mayor that's breaking the law, but not in this country anymore. So, Mr. Trump, he has quite a job ahead of him, but I believe he's up to the task. And I believe he's got some really good people on his team. And I believe in God. And I'm also waiting to see at what point the Lord's going to kick in supernaturally, because there has to be a revival. Brother, the country's morally corrupt. The country is spiritually sick. And the whole world. Personally, I'd like to see him kick the United Nations out of the country. I've been saying that for years. You should kick him out of the country. Do you know that we pay for that, for the United Nations? For that building and all the offices that they do here. So some people are afraid that he's going to kick them out and turn the building into condominiums. That would make me very happy. They should get out of the country. They're in our country working against us. They should get out of the country. So the war's intense. And the other side has not given up. This is a battle where they will die before they will give up. This is a battle to the death. And the Lord Jesus Christ won't give up, but the people that serve the Lord Jesus Christ are weaker than the people that serve the other side. For now. We're waiting for the Lord Jesus Christ to descend into this world, and then we will be stronger. So hopefully that's going to happen within a year after Mr. Trump takes the reins of power, which I believe is January 10th. We have to get him through January 10th. We have to get through the Electoral College December 19th. And so the war is raging. And those of us that are spiritually sensitive, we're feeling it. It's just been intense. I don't know what it is. Is it political? Is it this crazy doctor? Is it, and she's not crazy. She's crazy like a fox. She knows exactly what she's doing. Shame on you. Shame on you. You're a medical doctor. Shame on you. I sincerely rebuke you in Jesus' name. So it's going to be quite a war. It's not going to be over in a second. It's going to be quite a war, and we're going to scarcely succeed. We're going to scarcely, those that serve God can scarcely be saved by the skin of their teeth. That's how hard it is. So I don't want anyone in this ministry to be unaware or unprepared in their mind as to what we're up against. So if you're having negative spiritual experiences, if you're not sleeping well, or something's disturbing you, I'm going to be very disappointed in you if you come to me and say, I don't know what's wrong. I couldn't sleep last night. Maybe it was something I ate. I'm going to rebuke you. Because the first thing that you should think of is that you're picking up the agitation that's in the nation, or even more so, agitation against the ministry. We sent out a lot of books. We're on the internet now. We've actually picked up a few strangers. I don't know who they are that subscribe to us. I don't know how much they listen to us, but it's going out into the spirit. The warfare is intense, and it's on multiple levels. In our case, it's on a spiritual level. We don't have any political power. It's on a spiritual level. And now, two other people in the ministry and I have entered into this warfare with the medical community. It doesn't matter that it's a little nick in the wall. It's a nick in the wall. And I want to tell you, we don't know what's going on. We do not know what's going on with the people on Medicare, not Medicare, on Medicaid, the poor people that are under the dominion of human beings that might be not too well in their mind and control freaks who happen to have a medical degree. Especially in the psychiatric community, for people that are getting this stuff for free. We don't know what kind of abuse is going on. There's all kind of abuse going on. And if you don't want to believe it, you're in denial, including experimentation of medications to people that can't say no, including the people in the military. So wake up, and make sure that you run every decision that you make before the Lord. And I want you to know that my first reaction with this doctor was, I'm not going to change doctors. Yeah, you can't run away from this stuff. You have to stand and face people. But this was not a normal conflict with the doctor. This is an abuse of power. So I intend to leave unless the Lord changes my mind. I was tormented for 2 or 3 days after I dared to tell her no. So, I have a good message for you. Does anyone have any questions? Please save your comments, because it's really late. Any questions, I'll answer your questions. Unless if your comment is going to edify, you can make a comment. Anybody? I'm not against doctors, brethren. You have to be responsible for yourself in this world. Doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, accountant, anyone that has authority over you. You are still your own person, a son of God connected to the Lord Jesus Christ. You don't lay down and let people make decisions for your life. Okay? Okay, let me just pray for you all. Father, in the name of Jesus, I just bless this ministry, Lord, and everyone that's a part of it, especially those that labor with us in these meetings, that put in long hours and contribute to the messages that make us all immortal. They'll be around for as long as the Lord wants them to be around. I forgive everybody's sins. I cancel all of Satan's plans to harm us in any way. And I pray, Lord, that we should be fully prepared for the day that your feet descend into this world, and that you join to the day that your head descends into this world and joins to your feet. I pray that we should be prepared. I rebuke infirmities wherever they're appearing in the ministry. I continue to ask for miracles for infirmities and physical, mental, emotional, spiritual needs, whatever they are, to the fullest degree that I have authority. I call down healing for you. May it come down from above right now as I speak the words. I bless your families. I pray that you should make the right choices. And I pray that integrity should be found in you. Integrity and righteousness and everything that this world is not. Honorable. I pray that we should be honorable people. That the Lord should be pleased to say that we are his representatives here on the earth. And that everyone that asks of us something that we're capable of doing, that we should do it with a kind heart. That we should be good citizens and good friends to each other. Not just in the ministry, anyone. If you can do it and they ask you to do it, you should do it. That we should truly be an example to the world, even before the power comes upon us. In Jesus' name. I pray that you bless the message today, Lord, and that you help me to bring it forth, and that you help everyone to understand it, and that you be glorified in it, in Jesus' name. Amen. Yes?
Rose had a comment. She said, I also had the same issues with the doctor that would not prescribe. They would not treat me unless I took the medication that they prescribed first. I refused.
Really? Wow. Yeah, wow. You mean it was a different kind of medication, Rose, or was it a brand issue? And wanted you to take a different medication before they gave you what you wanted, or it was a brand issue?
For therapy,
Oh, okay.
not a brand issue.
Mhm.